are back with another video, and a little under a week ago I took you guys through a shockumentary that I found called Banned in America. Now I was having a little bit of a think about the next shockumentary that I can cover, and there's one that really stood out for me. About 3 years ago I watched it, and it's called Earthlings. Now Earthlings is the saddest shockumentary that I've ever watched by far. I think out of the hour and a half that this thing was running for, I was crying for about an hour of it. Now the theme of the whole shockumentary is very sad. It's all about animals, animal abuse, and how animals are treated in different countries where the society might not be so, I don't know, up to standard, I suppose. You know, like your poor Southern America, parts of Asia and parts of Africa. The whole thing is basically about how humans are, you know, the top dog on planet Earth, and how we use our strength and how big we are to basically take advantage of animals and such. Now if I've already piqued your interest, this documentary can be found on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the comments below, so if you want to go watch it before I start speaking about it, then you can do so. Like I say, it can be found on YouTube, but it does have a 18+ rating for obvious reasons. Now my initial intention was to watch this whole thing right here, the whole hour and a half, as one video. However, I looked up the video yesterday, skipped through it, and instantly thought, no, I can't do that. So today you're just going to have to deal with me speaking about it, I guess. So the common themes within this shockumentary are pets, food, clothing, entertainment, and scientific research. The shockumentary is also narrated by the one and only Joaquin Phoenix, who's a world-renowned actor and also an animal rights activist. The background music also features some lovely music, but sad, by an artist called Moby, who I highly recommend you check out some of his work. And it's also written and produced and directed by Sean Monson. Now Earthlings wasn't initially intended to be a documentary. It was basically filmed through, and it is filmed throughout the whole thing, through hidden cameras, and it was always meant to be sort of a small compilation of hidden cameras, people going into, you know, slaughterhouses, pet shelters, all that kind of thing, and all Sean Monson wanted to do was make a small compilation of these things going on in our world. However, there was so much footage that he actually decided, you know what, I can make a documentary out of this. And so we did, and it's become one of the most powerful, shocking things that I've ever seen in my life. So the first chapter that comes up is about animals and how they're used as pets. Now when I say pets, you probably think, oh yeah, pets, you know, man's best friend, stroppy cats and all that kind of thing. But this is not what this documentary is about. And this is where, in the first 10 minutes, I got upset. In the first 10 minutes, it talks about euthanasia of animals. Now, it documents the way that animals and pets are euthanized in the most humane way. You know, with the needle, and they'll inject the dog or the cat with the needle, put it to sleep that way, which I completely agree with. We had a dog that was unfortunately put down in September, and he was basically euthanized the same way. However, that's just the way that family pets are put to sleep. Now it shows the way in which a lot of stray dogs or cats are dealt with, and the way that they tend to do it, because obviously a lot of vet companies, they don't want to waste expensive euthanasia equipment on strays. So what they actually do is they might put them into large gas chambers and unfortunately put them to death that way. Now I know we're about halfway into the video already, but I do apologise for sounding a little bit shaky and off. This is definitely a shockumentary that stuck with me, and it's so difficult to talk about, even now watching it, thinking about it. It's one of the saddest things that I've ever seen. You know, that I've got no words for it. It really is sad. Now, also included within this section, it basically shows us different clips of things such as a border collie being lifted up by two men and thrown into the back of a dump truck, as well as puppies and kittens being put in bins, all recorded through these secret cameras that you see on the lapels or like around people's necks and whatnot. So this happens too. It also shows a man with a shotgun who is aiming his gun at a dog. And the saddest thing about these clips is that the cameraman could literally do nothing. So on these scenes it'll basically show these puppies inside a bin, and the cameraman zooming in on the puppies' faces, and it's just a sad sight to see. So we now move on to food. Now, as a meat eater myself, I don't really look at how my food is basically processed, you know, how beef's made or how chicken's made, or I don't know how lamb is also made. Now, we like to think that the way that our food is killed is through a quick and easy process, and this isn't always the case. A lot of the time it is, but sometimes it's a slow and painful process for a lot of animals. Now on this documentary you can see, well not you, but I can unfortunately see that these animals are mainly grouped together in huge groups. So you'll have chickens, you'll have sheep, you'll have pigs, you'll have cows. They'll all be in a pen, and they'll all be completely, they'll have no space to move around or anything like that. I mean, to the people there it doesn't matter, because they're all going to the slaughter anyway. So through these hidden cameras, these clips mainly show the workers of these farms or slaughterhouses, you know, kicking the animals, punching the animals, tasering the animals, in which eventually it leads to their death. So for example, it shows a cow who basically puts its head through this sort of, it's forced through this sort of, let's say, glory hole. I tend to use that word a lot when I'm talking about holes in walls, but it puts its head through a glory hole, and the cow is lifted up. Its neck is basically, or its head is basically crushed. All the blood is drained from its neck, and obviously it dies and then is used for meat. Now, animals such as sheep and pigs on this documentary are hung upside down, dragged with hooks through to one of the slaughterhouse rooms and basically cut open. Like, have you ever seen that? I don't know why I'm comparing it to this. I don't know, probably just a nerve thing. You know that scene on Hostel 2 where the woman's upside down, she's got her arms tied behind her back, and some woman comes in with a big sickle. If you've not seen it, I won't say who it is, but she comes in with a big sickle and she whacks the sickle down her neck and all the way to her bum. That's basically what happens here, and how these pigs are basically, pigs and sheep are made to bleed out and eventually die, in which the workers will then, you know, start tearing bits off them, skin them, collect all the raw meat from them, and they will use every single bit. Nothing will go to waste. They'll use every single bit of this sheep, of this pig, but it won't be a quick process. It's a horrible process in which you can hear you can hear the sheep and the pigs basically screaming for help. Now it also goes on to show commercial fishing, so it shows huge boats with huge nets at the side, and these nets are obviously going into the ocean and coming out with tens of thousands of fish. So when these fish are brought up, they're basically left on deck until they've all died, because obviously they can't breathe out of water. And it basically just shows the fish coming in, dying, and then all these fish being gutted for, I don't know, fish and chip shops. It also goes on to show about China and their shark fin soup, which I believe is now illegal. It didn't used to be illegal, but I think in the recent years they've actually put a ban on it. So now we move on to clothing, and if it feels like I'm rushing this thing, then I kind of am, because I really hate talking about things to do with animals. If you saw my video about on the gauntlet challenge, I think there was a PETA video in there which basically showed the skinning of, I think it was raccoons. But yeah, I just don't like talking about the abuse of animals. So yeah, moving on to clothing, it basically shows us how leather is made, specifically from Indian cows. Now, as you'd fully expect, the cows aren't treated very nice. They are basically tied up with rope and whatever they can find in India, I don't know, and they are basically skinned alive. Now this process is done pretty much on the side of the road, so once these cows have been skinned, their skin will be basically given to a guy sitting at the end of the road, in which he will start crafting this leather into your coats, your jackets, pants I suppose, and what other leather things that exist in the world. Now of course fur is also something that's used in making clothing, so a ton of wild animals will be killed for the pelts each year. Now this includes but isn't limited to foxes, wild boars, sheep. Sheep are for some reason killed for their wool in some countries, which, well, why do you need to kill the sheep when you're going to give it a trim anyway? There are a lot of fur farms in China that also basically lock wolves and foxes and stuff up for their furs, you know, Chinese fur farms. We don't have any fur farms here, I don't think. It also shows Canadian seal hunting, which is where Canadian people, obviously, will go out and hunt seals, and they'll also be killed and used for their fur. So now we move on to entertainment, and this includes first of all bull rodeos, which I'm pretty sure I've mentioned in the Banned for America shockumentary. I said that I don't agree with bull rodeos or horse rodeos, and obviously it's used for entertainment purposes. Now bulls aren't just used for rodeos, they're also used for an event in Spain or Mexico in which a bull basically chases people throughout a town, or several bulls chase people throughout the town, and I've forgotten the name of it, it'll come back to me later. It also shows animals being used in circuses such as bears and tigers and elephants as well, and also horses, which I believe has now been banned in the UK. Now animals in circuses generally never have a good time. They're always being abused, and if they don't do a trick that the owners of these animals like, then they'll be hit, they'll be punched, they'll be tasered, and they'll be injured as well. Now the documentary also covers zoos. Now zoos are kind of a hit and miss. In a lot of zoos the animals are treated fairly, they're treated nicely, they're fed every day, whereas in other zoos they may not get that equal treatment that they deserve. So for example, some animals may have small cages, they may be trapped with many other animals of their species, they may not be fed properly, they may have to miss out on meals, maybe because the zoo can't afford it, or they're just a really shit zoo. Now we quickly move on to scientific experiments and scientific research. Now this is probably the hardest section to talk about, as it's just full-on abuse of animals and animal rights. So for example, we've got dogs and cats who are trapped in cages and have basically been injected with illnesses. So they might be injected with flu virus, or they might be injected with, I don't know, typhoid or something like that, or AIDS, I don't know. So in these scientific facilities, the only thing that's given to these animals to make them somewhat valuable to life is their breed and a number, because that's all they are within these scientific facilities. They're a number and nothing else. Now obviously these animals are all kept in horrible conditions, as they're not really anything but an experiment. Now one of the clips that does stand out is the case of a monkey getting some electroshock therapy. So they've obviously got the little machine on its head, and somebody flips a switch, and obviously the monkey goes into some spasms because it's been electrocuted. And that's basically a very, very brief explanation of the hour and a half of this documentary, which is Earthlings. Now, like I said at the beginning, if you still want to watch it, I'll post the link below in the comments. And as I say, you've got to be over 18 to watch it. If you're not 18, I do not recommend you watch it. I mean, I don't recommend you watch it anyway. It's very upsetting. It's so difficult to talk about. I've gone through this. I've not even been watching it. I'm just mostly going from memory from what I saw 3 years ago, because it's so hard. And like I said yesterday, I put this on. I skipped through a little bit, remembered the soundtrack in the background and what I saw, and honestly, I couldn't watch it. I can't watch it again. Like I said, I did consider maybe watching this on here. It could have been down there or something like that, little screen, and we would have watched it together. But I don't think I can bring myself to do that again. It's such a shocking documentary to watch, and I can't put it into words how shocking it really is. Like, you heard me talk about Banned in America. If you've seen the Banned in America video, then there's some stuff on there that I've described, such as people getting their limbs chopped off, people shooting themselves on a camera. But this is just on another scale, and I think the reason that this is such a sad documentary is the fact that it's basically the human race, us, hurting and fucking hell, man, can't even speak about it anymore, hurting and mistreating animals. So yeah, I think that's everything that I need to tell you about this documentary. It was just an idea that was inflicted into my head a couple of days ago, and I thought, you know what, it'd be a good idea to talk about it. But now I'm actually here and talking about it. I realised it was a pretty big mistake, because honestly, I'm going to go away from this now and I'm just going to think, yeah, I should not have talked about this again, because now I'm feeling a little sad. Let's be honest, I'm feeling a little sad. So yeah, as usual guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've tried to enjoy this the best you can, as I certainly didn't. So yeah, like, subscribe, keep hugging your dogs and your cats, because they need them. They need all the love they can get. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.